It has to do with. Right, we have Andre on the Zoom.
I
No,
did text him, but I have not heard.
we'll give him the opportunity to join, or should we just proceed?
I
say-
really-
At 15 minutes.
Yeah, all right, we'll call the finance committee to order, given that we opened a roll call just moments ago, we can forego that. Forgive me, I'm still a little foggy, brain fog today. If I'm slipping or something, just let me know. I shouldn't be contagious. I should be okay. I'm just still pretty run down. Mask is for abundance of caution. All right, on our finance agenda, item number 1, ordinance number 23. 2024 general fund budget supplemental appropriation $20,774 state homeland security grant in the district attorney's office. I think that was anybody here to speak on that from the administration? We heard from them last week. Pretty normal stuff. We had, items number 2 through 5. For the, grant allocations from the library. Saw John was here earlier. I told him I thought we were pretty good on that stuff. Item number 6, 2024 Public Health Fund Budget Supplemental Appropriation, $2,649 for additional grant award from the National Environmental Health Association. Just so you guys are aware, Brianna Adams from the department asked me if I felt that she needed to be here to speak to this issue. She had a complication. What this is at budget time, they plugged in $15,000. They think they're gonna get from the grant award. They applied for the grant and they actually received $2,649 more than what the
Nice.
grant was. For bringing money home to the county and putting it to use. I did have a question as the fact that the allocation was being. It's in the packet here. I think it was $2,000 to travel and. Let me find it. It was $2,000 to training and $649 for travel work related. This is related to the people that inspect for retail food inspections. And so they're going to get training on, additional training on certified compliance for different standards and stuff. I think it's fairly limited. Item number 7, approving the 2024 Erie County Emergency Operations Plan.
I'll be speaking about that.
Okay.
Brian Caceres from Public Safety.
Yeah.
The emergency operations plan basically is how, in the event of an emergency or disaster, how as a county, we're gonna operate when we open the EOC. We are required by Title 35, our emergency services code, to have that promulgated by the governing authority. Either if we make a major change to the plan, or if the majority of the governing body changes, and both of those have happened since our last promulgation. So we're bringing that we're asking for approval for the rest of the resolution.
Would you mind defining substantial changes? What substantial changes are included in the revision?
We totally rewrote it from what the original or the previous EOP was. We've added in what FEMA called lifelines, so there are different metrics that we use to manage how well the incident's going, what's still, if you will, a hindrance to getting back on track. So if we take a look at like utilities, we're out of power, we're out of fuel. Okay, what else is that affecting? Transportation, could be a hazmat incident. So there's different metrics that we build into the plan to guide how well we're gonna be maintaining and managing that incident.
Pretty straightforward.
That's like a tornado, then. So. That's part of it.
So, exactly. So, whether it's natural disaster, man-made disaster, technological hazard, anything that could cause us, the pandemic was a perfect example. That's how we operated in the EOC based on that plan. And prior to or since the pandemic, that plan was written based on all the departments coming together and working as a joint unit within that EOC.
Any other questions? No. All right, and, item number 8, adoption of the 2023 Erie County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I'll be speaking on that also.
Now,
The hazard mitigation plan is the only plan that we have to write that's required by FEMA to be required to have FEMA approval. So we as the county coordinate the plan and write the plan, but it's the projects that the municipalities put into the plan that makes up the plan. So when we start looking at hazard mitigation money after disasters happen to be able to fund some of these projects, those projects have to be within that hazard mitigation plan. So we have had about a month ago, we got the last resolution from a municipality. We have all 38 municipalities signed on to that plan, accepting it, did participation in the plan, provided projects for that plan. We're asking for the approval of the county adopting that plan as well to show support to the municipalities for the plan. And also, if money does become available, there's no question that the county is signed on to that plan as well. We wouldn't be denied any funding should it become available during a disaster.
Councilman, if I could, that plan right there you have in front of you, and you have the link, was a collaboration to rewrite that between planning and public safety. And once adopted, will become part of the Erie County Comprehensive Plan. So that will become our plan of Erie County regarding to hazard mitigation.
Chairman,
yes, sure.
excuse me, what is your name
Right, the Sarah's,
and what is your position?
the emergency management coordinator for county
And you're under what department?
public safety.
Have you provided, the Erie County Hazard Mitigation Plan, a copy of that to council?
Yeah, it's in the binder right there.
This binder, right?
Yes.
And
Ultimately,
then
it's in the
provide it.
packet.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Yeah.
I see that these are both resolutions. I don't think you could read that and say, and approve them by Tuesday. You think?
I read through, the first of the two, but I have not read through the second one. I shouldn't, I can't speak for everyone else, but
Well, I think the council should need a few more days before they adopt the plan, that big.
Till a week from Tuesday.
oh, yeah, that's right, because of election day.
But election day, we're 2 weeks out.
Oh, okay. No meeting next?
No, election day.
Election.
Oh, yeah. that's right. Thank you. No problem.
Moving on to item number 9, possible sale of a parcel from a repository for unsold property. I'm not gonna go through that number. Is this another relative, Terry?
No, it's a guy, guy next door wants to buy the, empty lot.
They're being funny.
Yeah.
Well, goodness knows if you're to tell everyone in town is a cousin anyway.
I'll get all those properties for $250.
Uncle Terry, yeah.
Item number 10 remains tabled. Question. And then item number 11, Paul.
If all the ordinances in front of you are approved, the county, is in compliance with the requirement of 2 months of general fund expenditures in our reserves. And there will be, $24,686,370. Difference between the unassigned fund balance and your 2 months expenditures. So, a couple of the bucks a day.
What's that?
I was just gonna say, I feel that Andre's not here, but I should ask you if that's a certification of funds.
Tom, that
Yeah.
certification of funds?
I believe it is.
Thank you.
Jim,
If I
You
get
take it
a little
home?
quicker than you, okay,
hey man, that moved quick.
you did well. And to open up the personnel meeting. Good. Number one, we have ordinance that we asked Tom about the appointed salary ordinance for the deputy county clerk. I believe we voted on this at our last meeting. This is.
Yeah, I understand now why this is back on.
It's a little bit different.
The administration refused to recognize the legitimacy of council's certification for a raise for its deputy county clerk. He did that instead of vetoing it. Indirectly stating to council, you don't have the authority, only I could certify the availability of funds. Council could challenge that, but getting back to why this ordinance is on here. I understand that you'll now be voting for the same thing, but the funding will come out of county council's budget, not the general fund budget. So is that clear to everybody?
Any questions or any comments? I think that's pretty cut and dry, as I think we were all for that. Number two, ordinance number 13, 2024, appointed official salary ordinance, director of administration. First Street 21324, table 227.
Yeah, I have something to say about that. Paul, I'm sorry, you're the only one from the administration here.
I have no problem.
I just, we received word that despite the approval for this not being given, that the director of administration is in that position and receiving that salary.
Yes. Well, you got the personnel file, correct?
So council has to approve people's pay, and if council doesn't approve pay, you do it anyway?
I think that's one the lawyers should talk about.
Yes,
I,
that's directed at you.
yeah, no,
Tom, give Bill a call.
yeah, the administration cannot do that. There's no legal mechanism other than county council to approve a salary increase. County council has yet to approve any recommendation by the county executive to pay the administrator a sum of money. And the fact that he has been paying it to him is illegal. And council should do something about it.
I think are they paying him what, because it was budgeted for Doug Smith, whatever,
He's getting paid a little less.
so. It was budgeted, it's just not approved by us
If
at
it
that
didn't-
dollar amount, the less amount.
If it didn't require approval by council, they wouldn't submit for it. Now they think that they don't need approval, then why did they submit for it?
Is he getting his salary from his position before, and then you made up the difference from money somewhere else?
Well, there's
To
money
get
that
him
we
up
can do transfers, yes.
Is that what you're doing? Because that's different
In effect, yes.
In effect, that's what we're trying to do with our
with our
deputy
deputy
clerk.
clerk.
But the pay change statement shows the change in the position number and the change in the salary to the new salary. It would be one thing if they kept him in the former position that he was in and just
Is
move
it-
money around.
Yeah, that's the email that just came.
I mean, I wouldn't like
before
it.
this meeting.
But they could do
Yeah,
that.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, no, it's not like, our deputy director. Our deputy director is getting paid, assuming council approves, at a different, description, classification and everything. Right now, you can't hop from one position to another and continue getting, earnings based on the previous position. You've left that position. Right now, that position is vacant. And, for the new administrator to get paid, council has to approve it.
So he should be getting no paycheck
You
at
should
all.
be getting no paycheck at all.
Again, like I offered the last time that we talked about this, there was always the option to just not move his position. He could retain his previous position, and in fact, what happened was they put in a pay change statement, changing his position and granting him the salary that was not already approved. I hear your concerns, because you know that this requires approval by council. And you were concerned that he wouldn't continue to get paid because
Right.
council had not approved it. And now council has not approved it and he continues to get paid.
Well, that's why I wondered if they were getting the money from somewhere else
That's a good question.
temporarily.
And if so, where from?
Does that matter if we didn't approve him moving into this new position at this new salary anyways?
Does what matter?
That there was money somewhere else?
We'd like
that
to
they
see it.
already had? Well, I get that, but I
We'd like-
mean, if they have money from the previous position, but they reclassify him and move him over, the money from the previous position doesn't just move over with the individual.
That's right.
So that money has no really bearance on him getting paid. He's getting paid illegally because we didn't approve it. Whether there was money there to cover that in the budget or not has nothing to do
No,
with.
no, that's
with
right.
him
Those are
getting
separate
paid.
issues.
Those are totally separate issues, yeah. I mean, he's still doing this illegally by. I mean. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's it. But the next issue is, okay, you're paying him. Where'd you get the money? I mean, council wants to know the budget and where the money comes. So, typically we'll run into this when the position is established by the administration, but it hasn't been filled, and you're looking for a new employee. And a lot of times, we don't know what to pay him, or we're not, we don't know exactly what to pay him when it's advertised. And by the time it's filled, then, a supplemental appropriation will come over here and, council may approve it and make it retroactive. Which would happen here, once council approves it, they could make it retroactive to the day that he started.
Andre is not here, and
Well,
I don't wanna talk about him, but without him here. But he had before voiced concern over the public defender pay setting, what that amount would be. And his concern was around the idea that people are not, being served in that, I was fearful that he would decide to decline to approve that pay, because I really wanted more public defenders, Like, we all know there's a consequence if we say no. Like, one of the things I was saying about the public defenders is like, it sucks that you already hired them and offered them that wage, because now it's like an arm behind their back, because you've already hired them. Because there's always a possibility that we would say no. And
Or doesn't it go back to the approval of council? Doug left. Joe took over. We have to approve that money. You can't just pay him because, you can't pay him out of, economic development where Joe was. Without informing council, would have to do something there, correct? Approve that.
Yeah, if they were gonna transfer money.
And if they're transferring to economic development, might as well get rid of economic development now. You don't have a boss, why do you have anybody?
Well, council could get rid of the position.
Yeah.
Position will not be filled.
No. So, Mr. Chiron, if I address it. So we're all together on council here, and this feels like, forget about what side of the political standpoint we're on. He doesn't care what we have to say, he doesn't respect us at all here. There's zero level of respect. And he's gonna continue to do these things. You guys are all, you've all lived here your whole lives. I know you respect this community. I want to move forward so we can all get things done for the community together. We're never gonna do this under this current situation. I know that you
No,
all know this. You know we can't move forward like this.
This sucks.
We have to figure this out, or we're gonna just spend the next year and a half, right? Butting our heads against.
And it isn't fair for the guy who's doing his job.
It's not fair to any of these people. It's coming down to games that are people are playing with their livelihood, their money, and.
both sides.
And 100%, I'm tired of this. But we have to be able to come together as a group here and work to get this done. Cause we're the only ones that have a chance of working together. Very clear that I don't think the administration wants to play ball with any of us. And I sometimes feel like you guys get put in positions that are very uncomfortable. Just because he expects something out of you or something. I don't understand. I just don't. I didn't choose to do this job because I want to sit here and stall and get nothing done. We need to move forward and be able to do things for the people that elected us. Or we're gonna have a whole new council because we're not doing the things that people are asking us to do for them. So I would appreciate it somehow. I don't care if we have to have a special meeting to work out our differences or set up guidelines, like there's gotta be compromise where everybody gets a little bit of what they want. Not everybody's extremely happy and we can move forward.
Well, I think the issue is not, or if you look at the compromise, this was a on the agenda that has to be passed by council. We tabled it, it wasn't passed. You just can't go and do it. What deal would you make? We're going against the home rule charter, right? By doing it this way. We table something and he just signs up to pay him anyway. That's not-
Obviously, he does not have the authority to do that.
That's what
And
I'm
he's
saying.
done other
It's
things
not,
that hasn't had the authority.
it's not playing politics right now.
No, it isn't.
He did the wrong thing, or the wrong thing was done. I mean,
I think the lawyer,
and I'm not pointing at
the
you,
lawyer should talk about that,
and I'm
because
not,
there may be a difference of opinion there.
Well, we might have to have a judge decide, because this is just bonkers to me. You know, and I've asked so many times for some compromise. This was tabled because there's been no willingness to listen to what our spending priorities were regarding our members. This was intended to bring us to the table to talk about, what do you want?
But
So that
that's,
we can work together. But
it's a continuation
But
of
you're-
pulling levers, so a lever gets pulled by the administration, which triggers. Now a lever has been pulled over here, and to combat that, now a lever has been pulled back on the other side, and so what are we gonna do? We're gonna pull another. lever.
don't you
Like,
think
that's
those
not
levers should be
accomplishing
legal?
anything. Then, like you said, I think we let the attorneys sort it out. I don't think that we're going to, by pulling another lever and further obstructing what goes on in government, we're not accomplishing anything. So if we believe, if we deem that it's unlawful and our representation deems that it's unlawful, then that's the conversation to be had. From a legal standpoint, to rectify the situation, because we're not accomplishing it, so. This
it's
is.
not fair to Joe.
Well,
It's
That's
not
why
fair.
I'm asking where the money came from, but you don't know, Paul.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Well, the money,
Well, I didn't know
Joe's salary up until 2 weeks ago was being paid out of economic development. Now he's being paid as the director of administration.
But I mean, to actually pay him without council approving it, did it come from somewhere else so that he could pay his bills? And then once council approves it, then,
You mean pay his, like, personal bills or?
yeah, so he doesn't go without a
Oh,
paycheck.
or it came out of the
Did you-
bank account?
He's getting the full pay. It's not like he's getting part money. He's getting the pay that
I
we haven't
know, but
approved.
it's the same as us with Megan. We're pulling it from somewhere else.
Yeah,
but we're
gonna legally.
The difference between the two, though, is
Because.
we're
this
being
is
hung up
paid-
on the certification of funds for taking money out of the general fund to adjust that line item. And so because he's blocked the certification of funds, we're hamstrung there, but we can reallocate within our own budget those funds.
I
So-
understand that. That's why I was wondering if the
But
same.
that's not
thing-
what they're doing. This is actually less than budget, right?
Yes.
Because
Right.
Doug
but
was
it's
getting
what
paid a
he-
little bit more.
but it
This is
was
less
what
than
he
budget,
was
so the
going
line
to
item's
make.
there.
And Joe was getting paid out of economic development until he left there April 1st, right?
Right, correct.
So he's getting paid under the budgeted line. So it's not about where the money comes from, because the line's
Well,
already
it
there.
sort of does, because if they pulled it out of, I don't know, administrative fees or something, so that the guy doesn't go without a paycheck. That's different than, until, because it's tabled. We didn't, not pass it, it's tabled, so they may want him to get a paycheck so he can pay his bills, and they may have pulled it out of administrative fees or something to get it covered, so he gets a paycheck.
But that pay-
That would be right.
That paycheck
For them
is,
to do that. A table is not passing.
No, I know that, but I didn't know if it was a temporary mechanism so that he,
Well, even
That's a
assuming
pay-
that it was, it's still, it's not, you can't do that. It's a new position. But anyway, getting back to Chris, and what he was saying, I think it's about time that council decided to act like a council and respect the institution itself. Because for the last 2.5 years, I've watched council's authority and its integrity as an institution erode. And it's not been a quid pro quo between the administration doing, however you want to call it, good or bad things, and then council, responding to that by doing its own good and bad things, so that it's a tit for tat kind of situation. It hasn't been that way at all. That's not the way I've seen it. The administration has continuously gone out of line and on very many occasions. And we've had a dominant council support that. We've not had council decide to play the same game with the administration by simply saying no, like this for the administrator position. This could be taken off the table and voted no. And then guess what would happen? It would go down 4-3 and the administration would veto. And so, again, to Chris's point, is council going to spend the rest of the year? And is the county government gonna operate for the rest of the year on a veto? I mean, just think of that, a majority of council, a majority of the people of council representing the people will not be running the government or will have no input in government operations because everything they do will be vetoed. And it just erodes council's power, its influence, and the people hurt from that. So I agree with Greg that we have to start paying attention to what county council is as an institution and restore some of the normalcy and customs that, that have been going on for 42 years, since the beginning of the Home Rule Charter. I don't recommend lawsuits back and forth. That is counterproductive, but at some point in time, the administration has to get the idea that council has some authority and some power as well. And we're not going to deal with some of your hanky-pankiness. The idea of walking around with badges, I mean, give me a break. That should be addressed immediately as well. There's nothing in the home rule charter that says that our county executive is supposed to show up with law enforcement officers at car accidents and other places. In fact, what if he got hurt? He's not covered by workers' compensation insurance. He's working outside the scope of his duties, and he shouldn't be doing that. Why would any county council executive want to go out and buy all these badges and show up when he's not supposed to show up at law enforcement? Charlie, you know that. How would you like it if you're investigating, you pull over a car and all that, you're investigating, and some civil person comes up to you and tells you and shows you a badge?
And I haven't seen where he's, using it in that way. I do understand the ability to identify yourself quickly at a critical incident. I get that. As long as he's not out parading around the county with a badge and acting like a law enforcement officer. I understand. I'm not saying that it's
Well, he
right
hasn't
or
been
wrong,
showing
but
up, he hasn't been showing up at law enforcement investigations.
that I can't.
Well, they did that with those two hunters in the woods. I mean, you can still bring them dead.
Erie High, which is supposedly what started the whole situation, is that emergency responders were not respecting his authority to participate. It is about that. He showed up at Erie High.
Well, but anybody that knows critical incidents and incident command, at some point, it could be the county executive who for a brief time is the incident commander. They're the highest person on scene to
That's
control.
why he has an ID. That's why he has ID like the rest of us.
Right, I understand that. I just, again, it's a quick way to identify somebody, but critical incidents, incident command.
It
There
butts
is-
up right against almost impersonating a law enforcement officer.
I mean, if
And
he
it's
doesn't,
going-
he should be charged. So if
Well-
anybody's got evidence of that, then they should present it and he should be charged.
It intimidates people of color, new Americans, children, women. And any most reasonable, prudent person would know that so many things can go wrong with someone presenting a badge. He's lucky he didn't get his head blew off stopping a hunter with a badge.
I agree. And if he's done something illegal, then again, that fight is with the district
I
attorney.
think this council should prohibit it, should pass law, resolution, ordinance expressly prohibiting anyone from county government that's not law enforcement from carrying a badge.
So then, again, the idea, this is a nice conversation to have, because for my part, I represent county council period, all seven. And it would be nice to see council cooperate. And at times you have, but it's been very, very rare. And I think that Chris is right, that the executive has not shown any respect or concern for this body. And has done things on his own, example, the Gannon lease. He's done the Project Resolve. Those are things that he has put himself in without ever collaborating with county council. And then finally, the last minute, we get it. And this whole 6 months with these protesters, that's all his fault. That's all been tied up because it was, the idea was rubber stamped, with nobody looking into it. And council needs to take more time and be more questionable about administrative activities before it decides to approve of them.
Well, a lot of those things were the same prior to him.
Or what?
The previous administration negotiated things without council as well, and then it came down to council.
Yeah, Fiore was the first one to throw a fit about it.
Yeah, I mean, as representing council, I've always been, and council to my best of my recollection, has always required communication by the administration in advance of things. In advance of events, but, again, the point is to let bygones be bygones and to work as a unit, or try to work as a unit and recognize that, that the administration needs to, the reins need to be tightened on the administration a little bit.
That's why I think every issue though should be looked at face value on its own. I mean, do we agree that Mr. Senate is doing the job as the director of administration? Do we agree that he deserves paying compensation? Do we agree on that number for paying compensation? Like, it's an individual thing. It's not tied to money not going to DEI. It's not tied to money, not being spent for home. It's not tied to our clerk's or our deputy secretary, our deputy salary. I can get it out. I don't like, and this is what occurs. So now this has happened. Now we've come back and again, and we're not, that's not the right
It's gotta
answer.
end.
We're digging out. It's just gonna, because it's gonna go back and forth until.
But is it tied to the premise that as a publicly appointed official, that your pay has to be approved by council? Is it tied to that?
I'm just saying that we should have identified, so the issue was originally the DEI and the homeless money. So what action did we need to take in order to resolve that issue? Not tit for tat, not, hey, we'll give you this, or whatever. What did we need to do to resolve those two issues with the administration?
So
We
you're,
provided that information.
your suggestion then is to just untable and pass and just go, yeah, okay. You
No,
took it anyways, whether it was legal or not, so we're just gonna give in and give you everything.
no, but I'm saying we're messing with a person's livelihood that's doing a job that's,
didn't have to take that job. Yeah, but look at the Joe issue first, or Frank issue.
That's-
Look at that position. It should be funded with our approval.
Correct.
We table. For whatever reason, we take tit for tat, or we didn't have money or whatever. He should not be working in that position and not getting paid.
He could be working in his old position and continuing to get paid. Right, there was never a time, and let's face it, I mean, I've been on board meetings and seen John Whaley logging into like ECRA board meetings. I'm sorry, he's not doing economic development, so these guys have always been the Swiss Army knives of county government, that they're kind of doing all kinds of things. He could have done everything he's doing as the director of economic development, and everybody would have been just happy. But they still put in the pay, the position change and put him in the new job and paid him without the approval. That's, so would your suggestion be to untable it and approve it?
I think we untable it and vote it up or down at this point.
Oh, I'll tell you which way I'd go.
I understand, but
Yeah, I don't think it's right to withhold somebody's.
No, and 100%.
I don't think it's right him working in the position and we haven't worked out all that stuff. He shouldn't even be working in the position.
Oh, hold on.
And it's not the same as Megan's.
Yeah, so, and previously, you brought that up, you were concerned about that, and you made those concerns to both of us. We asked the question, and they said he was still getting paid from economic development. You know what? I don't know about you, I won't speak for you, but I was like, I'm okay with that, cause he's still getting a paycheck, right? And I thought he was getting a paycheck from that spot. This isn't about whether he's getting a paycheck or not. This is, I don't care what council says, I'm gonna do what I want anyways. And zero, like, all 7 of us, Andre not here. He does not respect any of us at all. 0. And because of that, we're just here as a punching bag. We're never gonna get anything done. I wanna do stuff in my community.
Yeah.
That's why I wanna do things. I wanna
How
do good
he's
things happen.
paying Joe now is wrong. He can have Joe in the position of economic development director. And say to Joe, you're working up here, but you're getting that money until it's approved by council.
And no one would have
And then you
said a
don't have
word
a problem.
about that,
And
because
nobody
that's what
wants
we
to
thought
go.
was happening.
Let's just imagine we untabled it and voted it down. What happens? Does he stop getting a paycheck?
No, it's gonna
No.
be, yeah, if it's 4-3, he'll be.
They've already,
No, because you're
he can't
hiring
veto
a
it now.
position.
What do we do?
There's 2 issues. If you move it from the table, you could vote on it. And vote on it, without the salary, you just put him into that position. The second issue is what are you paying? So yeah, you could remove it from the table and agree on a number,
We
whatever that
did.
number is.
We did that before, and this is what the number we came up with.
Okay,
Wait,
well,
when did we have deliberations on the amount that he would get
In
paid?
the finance meeting.
well, is there a number that's?
Are you
with this?
confusing that with the library?
Uh-uh.
No, I think that might have been our first, we voted it in the first time. And then the second time is when it got tabled. We had our first reading on it.
We had
Yeah,
a first read, but we never amended or changed the amount.
That's right. I think the amount in there is the recommended amount by the administration. But I don't think council voted. I mean, that number was just.
We didn't think
Higher?
it, what's that?
Was it not higher? Oh,
Pardon me?
was it not higher?
Yes, it was equal
Yes.
to what Doug had received.
Yes.
Right,
And
Or
we
what Doug was
came-
receiving.
And we discussed it at a finance.
But let's
meeting.
not conflate two
Came
things.
down a
It's,
little bit.
cause he's saying it's less than what Doug was at, what Doug was approved at previously.
Right, but originally that's what Joe's was going to be, right?
Right,
Correct.
but this is a new appointed person,
Right. So,
independent of what Doug had been approved of. And a new appointed person whose salary must be approved, since it's been on our agenda. This year, this council has not changed that amount or made any changes to it. This is what the administration initially proposed is on the agenda. It never got amended.
no. No. Originally, administrations talked about Joe coming in at the same rate as, Doug. And we talked about it in a finance meeting, and it got lowered down. And that's what went on the ordinance, was the new amount that we lowered it to.
Correct?
Because you said you didn't want him starting where he would come up.
I really think you're conflating two separate conversations.
No.
I don't believe I am. but-
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I remember making a point of saying, oh, this is less than. I remember in the
Yeah.
first finance meeting when this came before us, it said, this is less than it was budgeted for. And he said, yeah, I agree, but like, this amount, when it first showed up as an agenda item, it has not changed.
Okay.
Okay, either way. Either way, if council wants to consider removing that from the table, then as long as the entire packet is attached there, you can see it. You can see where we started from and what exactly was tabled. But that would not, if it's removed from the table, that doesn't mean the council doesn't have the authority to amend. Then it's just on the agenda again. In other words, if you don't remove it from the table, then you must vote the way it was when you tabled it. At that point in time, any council person could move to amend it to a different number.
I don't even think it mattered. I don't think it's the number. I think it's,
Absolutely not the number. It's not the guy either. Joe seems like a very nice guy that I've had good conversations with. It's about the idea that co-equal branches of government. We deserve to be heard and listened to and compromised with. You know, today Davis was given a press conference for Infinite Erie's, Erie Supportive Housing. And I'll tell you what, I'm supportive of that. I am. I've been listening to the plans. I've talked with Boo, I've talked with Kim over at Infinite Erie. It's something I'm supportive of. But then I see the county executive giving a press conference on it and I'm wondering, oh, wait a second, what's our commitment? Cause I don't know about you guys, but I've not heard anything about it. You know,
Well, you
he
have,
just assumes that we're just gonna pass whatever he brings forward, that we're gonna create an EMS authority, that we're gonna destroy Acura. Like, our votes matter, they're consequential.
well, he already said no to Andre's attempt to certify or to request him to certify funds for the homeless. He already said no to that.
I think that was also, I don't know that it was the amount as much as it was who was going to administer the money. I think the difference there was that the administration doesn't feel, and, you know, I've had my reservations about ECCM as well. I think it was the right plan and the amount of money was okay. So maybe this is now the correct plan and they're willing to give the entire, I don't know what the amount is, but I'm saying, I don't think it was ever not wanting to give money to the homeless problem. It was making sure that we had the right plan, the right mechanism in place, because for the past, how many decades, what we've done is given money, and we've seen no traction. So we need a program that actually does what it's supposed to do. There needs to be functional design. There needs to be everybody rowing in the same direction instead of, hey, ECCM will just, here's $1 million, here's 1.5, here's whatever, and you go do what you do. That's
My point is though, by offering these things.
Or if it was that
We're gonna
simple.
do this, we're gonna do that, it's completely disregarding the fact that our votes have consequence. To his
Can I-
agenda and ours. Sorry, Andre, go ahead. Oh,
Yeah, cause I gotta push back on some of that stuff Councilman Bell was saying, as far as people in silos going the same way and all of that. The only one that walked away from it all was our county executive. He walked away from Infinite Erie. He everything that he's trying to do now, I'm in support of. But that $1 million has already been appropriated and it should go out. And to sit there and to say that ECCM hasn't gotten results without any evidence of that is kind of not fair. When in fact, ECCM got national recognition for the work that they were doing. And it can be quantified how many people they have kept in their homes. And it's not, I don't think it's a matter of the money or even the plan. I think that it's more of the same of the county executive wanting to be the one with the walking around money. The plan that they're talking about, ECAT, we should support, but we should support it only after our appropriations have been respected. That plan is like 5-10 years out. It's not going to do anything. They're going to try to purchase some homes. They're still building that stuff. They don't even have it's like 4 parts to it. I attended all of that. And ECCM, there's no organization better poised to do rapid rehousing, to do utility assistance, and to do all the things that money is intended to do. And all one has to do is walk around to the city mission or the upper room about 9 or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and see the line of people that are waiting for housing from ECCM. It's atrocious. It's really immoral. It's immoral. And I won't vote to support it because we've been pushed to tit for tat. And I'm a tit for tat guy, and it doesn't have anything to do with policy at this time. It's got everything to do with protecting council's authority, which we have allowed to erode over the last 2 years.
If we had communication right now and we really wanted to move forward and the administration really wanted to move forward and work together, I feel like they should have came to us about this project, presented it to us at one of the meetings or in some sort of forum so that we could be included as part of this. But it always keep us at arm's length or, it's a manipulation thing, like use us when he needs us, discard us when he doesn't, want to be limited. So it's just very frustrating to be in this position. And from here on out, like, I'm just gonna keep bringing this up, like, we need to work together, and he has no interest in it. So until, we can change that, I'm just gonna keep echoing that statement until I can start doing things in my district that I want to see change. There's a lot I want to do, but you can't even get simple stuff done here.
Charlie, in your view, is the fact that Joe's position has had a change statement, that he's been assigned the new position, and he's been assigned the wage that has not been approved. In your view, is that unlawful?
yes. Yeah, I agree that we need to be the approving authority. I get it. I'm saying that, again, if it is, and then you hold the person accountable for that individual incident, not pulling another, now we've allowed it to occur or it has occurred, now we don't do something else. We address the issue. So how are we going to address the issue on its own, face value, not, well, here, now we're not gonna do this for you. You know, so that then that triggers another response from the administration. No, let's address it. So let's figure out what the legalities are or whatever we need to do.
What, in your view, should be the consequence of unlawful behavior?
Well, obviously, there's always a penalty. I mean, that's how the.
I'm asking you to
Yeah,
suggest
and I don't know what again, this is
More
for,
legal probably than.
If what I'm doing is just tit for tat, what would you suggest to ensure that this body and the executive are both operating within the bounds of law? What would you suggest is this?
again, I think then it comes down to, somebody has to at some point give legal determination and where this power begins and ends. So if the county executive is doing things that are unlawful, we're saying that it's unlawful, but the only power that we have is, again, to pull that other lever, a judge, the courts, to make a determination of it's not in his power to do. That's what I mean, that us going back and forth like this is so
I don't like it
non-productive.
either.
I know, and I get it. I'm just saying, then let's take that one issue and let's deal with it. Tom, how do we deal with it in the best way?
You know how many issues there are,
I know, and that's why I'm saying we gotta concentrate on one issue at
Gotta
a time.
start somewhere.
Right,
but you don't wanna
The
follow suit.
issue we should concentrate on doing this council's authority, because at this point, we're in court over the 2023 budget, 2024 budget. Now we're going through this. Do I certify? Do I don't certify? He did an RCAP application for $5 million with resolve before even coming to council with it. So where do we start at? We start with Joe's? You suggesting that we start with that one issue?
no, I'm not
I'm at-
suggesting there, I'm just suggesting that we start at some point and establish precedents, establish a ruling by an authority probably higher than us.
Now,
Yeah, but right now we're the authority and he doesn't respect our authority, and so we have to exert it.
well, see that, and that's the problem, that's what's different from any other previous administrations. This is not the substance of lawsuits, it's too small. But expect the cooperation, at least on these little things that have been done for 42 years straight. You know, why all of a sudden is there, a breach of the customs and behaviors and laws and rules? Why? What's the purpose behind it? And it only serves to frustrate council members. So, with an issue like this, you start out by saying, Paul, you're paying attention, right? Okay. A letter from the chairperson to the county executive saying, look at, here's what we learned. You know that this is wrong. How do you, before we vote on this, how do you intend to rectify the fact that money has gone out to pay for this position contrary to council's approval? So, and then, maybe, and it would be the first time, he cooperates and says, okay, my mistake or whatever, I'll do what council says. That's a better approach than, the letter from the lawyer, do this or else. And it's not the only one. There are a number of issues. Again, I would suggest that you take a letter to him with counsel behind it, pointing out, I could write it, pointing out the Home Rule Charter, his description, his duties, that they don't include law enforcement, that we're concerned for a number of things, including the possibility that you could get hurt and you would not be covered by workers' compensation. It's not part of your job duties. We don't want you to do that anymore. And, see how he responds to that. We can always prepare an ordinance or a resolution for you to vote on. But if you want to think, if we want to satisfy, the other three members of council that were in this together, let's try the cooperation part first. Let's send the letters. Let's see how he responds. If he responds like many of us think he will, well, then we take action. And as opposed to, and this is where council's leverage comes in. Opposed to filing lawsuits, which are expensive and sometimes have to wade through it, you think, why did we do this in the first place? You use your politics and leverage to shut him off from other things that he may want. And which council says, no, we're not funding it. Does he expect, I mean, I noticed that on the website that the EMS project is almost, it's everything, it has everything in it except council's signature. Now, when he brings that over to fund it, what's council gonna do? It has plenty of leverage to say no and control him. Because he would not be a happy cancer if and when that happened. So there's two ways to do it.
Can I interrupt you?
But
On that issue. If we say no on funding,
EMS,
yes, he'll do the same thing he did with Joe. And on the Joe issue. if
oh, and
we-
yeah, but the EMS is a much bigger issue
Oh,
than
yeah.
Joe.
But
That'd be.
I don't
know, that's- Yeah, I would recommend filing suit on that, but
then you would go after, now let's go back to this letter about the badges. I think we're better off instead of saying you or County Executive Davis, it should be put in there, whoever is county executive next. You understand what I mean? If you just put under Davis's name,
well, no,
you would say county executive or anybody,
well, that's,
No, it should be any county employee.
any county,
Law enforcement officer, the only ones authorized to carry things.
oh, you mean the badge issue?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, those letters, I could dictate them, you could look at them.
But what do we do about the Joe issue? Because the Joe issue right now. He went
That's
against
like I
us.
said, you take them a letter on the Joe issue. You leave this on the table. And you explain on behalf of council. That we understand that he's being paid according to that position, when in fact, we've never approved it. And that, what are you going to do about it? Because we don't intend to take this off the table and vote on it until you explain to us, until you confirm that you're going to take care of whatever money he might be, Joe might lose out on.
I almost want to use this argument against them, like when I was just talking to him, he told us we can't give a pay raise to Megan because we'd be eating alive for not giving a pay raise to the rest of the county who deserves it. But he's given a pay raise to Joe Sinnott without our approval, and the rest of the county isn't getting one. So why is there
Why
a
would you-
double standard there? Well, it's the
No.
thing, is he believes that we shouldn't operate in a singular fashion, that we should contact every single department and find out what raises need to be done and put them all through as a collective, right? So if we do that. Okay, so that's his proposal, but what he's asking us to do there contradicts what he's doing with Joe. So he's at,
Well, this is the
they're
thing.
two different, they're like. It's whatever serves his benefit at the moment, it seems to be is the direction. Of where he defines the rule as, so. I want to work with the administration and get things done, but we gotta. Cut through all that bullshit first and get done. Like, we gotta be able to sit down, talk and actually work something through. If we can't.
Well, I've found over the years, more than 40, talking doesn't do very much.
Good
It's just
starting
too easy.
point,
Everyone
yeah.
ends up having their own viewpoint. Things should be in writing.
Well, that's fine.
They're
The
definitive.
Communication, there needs to be communication, clear communication between us, right? That's constructive. Like, can we just have?
So let Barry take a letter on behalf of council and say, look, we're not gonna take this off the table until you recognize that you have no authority to be paying this gentleman until we approve of him, of the position and him in it and his salary. That's all. What do you intend to do about it? And it stays tabled.
Is council fine with that?
Let's try the,
Let's, we gotta do something, we might as well try that.
Now, the other thing you look at is, Karen just provided me with this, in January of 2022. The Director of Administration made 80,000. Following year, January 2023, the argument was made that, well, Doug has been here forever. So that bumped up $15,000 to $95,600. Alright. Now, in January of 2024, when he first came over, the administration wanted 98,500. And he has
And
no.
the past administrator and the past director, they fought him for every dime. He had 25 years of government contracting experience and an MBA. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it says, So for- okay, so after council discussed it, they were at $97,812.
That was in the budgetary process.
Yeah,
That was-
7 less per year than,
Discuss.
which is the same,
That was-
as Doug.
That was last year
Yeah,
before
that
I
was-
was here.
that was
You guys did approve
Before new.
the director of administration
December.
in the December ordinances, but this one is the new one, separate from,
Right, and,
maybe that's where the disconnect is.
and so. Yeah, so Joe was brought over $723 less than Doug. At $97,812, so that's, if that ever comes off the table, that's the number you're gonna see.
Oh, we're at 92.
97.
No, 92, I suppose, for a second,
Oh, yeah.
when,
92?
That was from, is that still?
Oh, that
no,
was-
no,
That's 97.
so
97 is the number.
97.
I left my glasses somewhere else in the courthouse, I can't see them.
I got one.
Oh, they're ready.
Is that on the table?
Hey, Tom,
Got a dog?
curious, not that I wanna be the dead horse, but, okay, I understand if the county executive performs an unlawful act, that our only repercussion is possibly, other than mediation, possibly to the courts. Now, what if a county official, an appointed official, willfully violates law? Is there any repercussion for, someone that's a county employee to perform an act that they know is against the home rule charter?
Not fire. Or is that not applied?
Well, I mean, every employee is under the authority of the county executive. We're not supposed to interfere with employees of the county executive. The argument would be that the offending employee was authorized by the county executive. That would be the way to get to it, but again, you're characterizing it as unlawful, and it's, you know, it's like the Republican Congress trying to impeach Mayorga for his work at the border. I mean, it's not an impeachable offense. It's, at most, it's bad work. You know, it's not a legal issue. You know, everyone could have an opinion of how a guy's doing a job. It's good, well, I think it's bad, okay. That doesn't rise to the level of an impeachable offense or breaking the law. So, what Brent Davis here does, I think, just like Chris does, is he just doesn't care. You know, he'll do what he wants to do. I don't even know if he's fully aware of his intention, or whether he even knows what he's doing is wrong or not. But he does what he wants to do. And I don't think it should be met with lawsuits. Unless it's a big chunk of money or something big. Or like like his interpretation of the home rule charter of the budget provisions. That's crucial to county council and how it operates. This is a budgetary issue as well, but it should be dealt with. You know, I mean, what council could do to pay him back is take this off the agenda and pay him 80,000. That's punishment.
Honestly, I'm not looking for punishment. I want communication so that we can move forward. Like, I think I'm tired of the punishment shit. I mean, if that's the only game I'm allowed to play, I'll play that. I'll do the tit for tat thing all day long. That's fine. I got, 3.5 years left. We can do that. But I really just wanna, and that's what you're saying. If you take the gun off the table, right, and we're not like, if you do this, I'm gonna do this to you, right? And we just open communicate. I'm not sure we're even capable of that, but if we could, we can move forward. But to be honest with you, I'm ready to do that. I think writing the letter is a great step. Let's put that in motion and see where that goes,
Let's go with the letter first, in all agreement. If it doesn't work, then we have to take another path.
Yeah, I'm hearing two different. Well, everyone sounds amenable to, or everyone sounds like they've recognized the problem and everyone is amenable to dealing with it one way or the other. There might be a difference of opinion on how to deal with it. Everyone has the same ultimate goal. To communicate with the administration, for the administration to start communicating with council. That's the ultimate goal. And the difference of opinion is what does council do to make that happen? So we start off cooperatively and gentlemanly like, with letters. And if that doesn't work, then I think you have to use politics. And the punishment, and that influences them. It's not like you're doing anything bad, and it's not like it ever hasn't been done before.
No, I don't have a problem doing that. I mean, I will hold back. I think that we've spent a long time at each other's throats. I don't know how much faith I have in compromise here, but I gotta try, right? I mean, we have to at least extend this out and try to work. Because we should have all been part of this homeless project. We should have all been able to work on we should have been able to work on these things together. And each side get a little bit of something, like. It's not that hard to come up with a little bit of compromise.
I was at the homeless. I've been,
I went to one.
he can't use more than 3 because then.
Well,
I
I
think
know.
that's an issue.
Yep.
So we tried to include us there.
My only point of even bringing that up was just the idea that he's offering up ideas like EMS authority participating in ear support housing without even bothering to see if the votes are there to enact his agenda. You would think that he would be concerned about winning our votes for things. But one of the things that he could do to help buy my goodwill for his agenda is to let DEI money go. And I just, that's the nature of government, right? A compromise. What would it take to keep you happy? Okay, well, we're beating a dead horse.
Send a letter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chair sends a letter, yes.
Okay,
I guess I'm walking.
I'll work on something over the weekend.
Charlie, you just be down here with your, I have to call him when he throws
I
me
don't
out.
carry in the courthouse, and I still have a badge and I don't vote.
See, they took mine.
You can have one as long as you use it the right way, so long as.
Okay, we're gonna move on to what? Number 3, possible reappointment of Dean Curtis. We tabled that one on 3/26/24.
Might do 3 and 4 together.
Yeah, main table until we get.
And we tabled reappointment of Julie Leonard to the Erie County Conservation District.
So I'm working on changes to the administrative code to include both terms and
Is this the committee? Are you guys working together?
no, I mean, I looked into it a long time ago and gave everybody an opinion. I noted that the state law, like our administrative code, or unlike our administrative code, the state law provided that there was one term, 4 years. And it didn't speak to anything else other than 4 years. It defined the term as a term of 4 years. Said nothing more than that. Did not, there's no language in there that, there's no more language in there except that, if once the vacancy, another one should be appointed, if, well, let's see, the person at the end of his 4 years will have 6 months. He could overstay the 4 years, but no longer than 6 months. And someone would have to appoint them. Now, under our administrative code, it provides for, it's a little bit different. The administrative code says that the term should be 2 5-year terms for all of our authorities, for everyone. But that's seldomly used because state law for every authority there has language that usually says 2 terms of 4 years, and that a person may succeed himself. Most of the, like the municipal act, the general municipalities law, which many of our authorities are created under, provide for that 2 4-year terms, and you could succeed yourself, so you could expand. But the conservation district oddly only provides for 4 years. So my concern was that under the administrative code provision for the conservation district, it doesn't provide for any terms at all. None. And so, and then when and so that shouldn't be right. There should be an end. There should be limited terms. I was provided information from Chris, and it's interesting because one of the guys that are still on there,
Chris who?
Chris Carroll, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Chris.
No.
There's more than one. So Chris Carroll provided me with some old information going back to 2011 when Barry Grossman was the county executive. But it listed the people that are currently in there now. One is a member who's been there since 1982. And there was another one who just went off that was been there since 1983. So obviously this wasn't paid attention to, and it, by previous councils or administrations. It was just one of those things that came and went. So I think that should be changed to reflect state law. And then council could modify it. Set of 1 4-year term, so that it at least meets the requirements under our administrative code. There could be 2 terms, 2 4-year terms. Now, to address those people that are currently in there now, what we could do is not put it into effect until January of next year. So nobody would be getting kicked off until January of next year.
How many does it involve though?
6, there are 6,
Out of the 7?
6 out of the 7, and the county executive
We
Well, it
can't
doesn't-
switch them all over at once,
for January of next year.
but all of them at once, then we'd have a conservation.
And we need to
council.
stagger it so we
Yeah.
have no continuity.
We could have January of next year, they'd all pick a ball out of the hat that would say 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, or 2 years, 4 years, whatever, so that they all, like every other board of directors, they would not overlap, and so you'd get a new member every year.
So we would entertain an amendment to the administrative code to spell out the term limits. Why would we hold up appointees for reappointment that are on the agenda today for a law that's not yet on the books?
Because because the existing law that's being followed is wrong. That's one reason. But if we don't want to disturb the law until next year, these two people could be voted in for a year. Be appointed for a year.
I don't know that we would have the ability to do that if the term is defined as 4 years. How would we
Because
redefine
Because-
what a term is?
And no term limit currently.
Being that they're
There is.
appointed to a term, right, which is state law for a year, right?
Mhm.
So what would we use to appoint them for 1 year?
our resolution. All of them are over, I believe all of them except one has been there for a lot longer than 4 years.
So we just let these two finish out the year.
So we get new.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that so long as,
So I would say, this Julie Leonard reached out to me and had a phone call with me about it. She served 1 term. She expressed to me that, it took damn near the whole first term to really get her legs upon her with this board. You would ask me prior if I knew her. I said, no, but didn't realize I actually did. I met her once in passing. Didn't know her by a first name basis, but she called me to talk about it. You know, she's coming up on a 2nd term. And, you know, she's got the 6-month window. She's got, I think she said 2 months left in the 6-month window. So there's a time concern there too.
Well, she
That's
stays in the
You're
position
misinterpreting.
until we appoint somebody anyway.
Up to 6 months. What about after that 6 month, that they still concerned?
the state law says 4 years. But then it also, and you vacate. But they give you, because of the weirdness of the nomination process, it takes a little bit, a while. It takes a couple months probably. They give you an extra 6 months. Very odd. But, again, the county would have to, the executive would have to ask for nominations from these organizations. That would then nominate 6 people. The county, or maybe 12 people, the county executive would whittle them down to 6, and then council would approve of them.
But this would only be her 2nd term, so if you're changing it to 2 4-year terms, then it wouldn't be a problem to just put her in.
No, it wouldn't be, but mechanically, I think she's the only one that has 1-year term. I think everyone else is more than 2-year terms,
More than 2 terms. not 2
more than
years.
2 terms. Thank you. I mean, you could let these people go. I mean, you could vote on this and let them go, but somehow a notice has to go out. That, or you could, I mean, either way. Either way, there has to be a point in time where you do it all over again.
Well, I don't
And-
think a notice can go out until we pass an ordinance.
Right. I guess so. So I guess these are only asking for. Yeah, see, interestingly enough, it says here that the term is to expire in 2027. So the administration also is of the opinion that there's 4-year terms. But the administrative code doesn't say that. But if we pass these, then they're there for another 4 years. And I don't know, well, if Julie Leonard is in the beginning of her 2nd 4-year term, I don't know where Dean Curtis is.
It says this would be his 3rd term.
You know what term Dean Curtis is?
It says it would be a third,
Third.
so he served 2 4-year terms.
She served.
Okay, so. Well, then he's done. Unless you want to, I guess we could say we could grandfather them in.
And this is all contingent on if we decide as a body to adopt those changes. Right? I mean, we don't have to say, it's 2 4-year terms. We don't have to. Right? I mean,
Right.
it's our say as a council as a whole. So you can propose, you can write that up, that we should look at 2 4-year terms with the 6-month extension or whatever, but as a body, we could decide that we think that this is a very specific set of circumstances with, people that, again, it's a small group, and we could say we're fine with, I don't know, whatever.
Well, I'll have all of the current names and their terms, so that we'll know who's within the last 8 years.
I saw that on some list. Didn't you send us that or something?
I got some things from. This is it. I got some things from Chris that, I believe include the current
Maybe
names.
it came from Chris.
So we could, the administrative code could have the general language in it. And, council could carve these 2 out. When council votes. So let me first put the changes together under the administrative code. And give you the names of anybody that we want to grandfather in. Council could vote on the administrative code changes. And these 2 people at the same time.
Would that not be possible to implement with the language of the ordinance that these changes shall be in effect, but not affecting those that are currently serving?
No, you wouldn't want that in the code, because we're gonna be long gone. There would be those 2 names.
No, but what I mean to say is like when they established term limits, that didn't, there was no like magical, tool that let people that were still serving serve beyond term limits. It just meant that the next time that their tenure was up, they were no longer eligible to serve again, right?
You wouldn't want that in, you don't have to complicate it like that. There are hundreds of authorities, they all say the same thing. 2 terms, you're done. 1 term, you're done. 3 terms, you're done. It doesn't it doesn't incorporate idiosyncrasies of a particular fact or circumstance. But council could handle that on their own when they vote for these 2 people.
Well, one thing I would suggest is even though I'm generally against the idea of term limits, I think it would be dangerous for us to apply a term limit more strict than our own. If we're only allowed to serve 3 terms, I don't know why we would hold a stricter standard to our appointments.
I'm concerned that if it's that hard to get the hang of the conservation district, if it should be 2 or if it should be 3
2 or 3
terms.
3 terms. I don't believe it's hard to get anybody.
It's not hard.
No, I'm talking about understanding that
Oh,
from what,
Be effective.
to be,
Yeah.
yeah,
well, why don't we say that about every other?
well, there are some that.
Would we think that those serving on conservation district would have any difficulty in serving on the finance authority?
This one is special though, because of the way that they do their selection through these. What is it called?
Organizations,
Qualified nominating organizations. It is a special animal.
It's almost a year process, right?
It's complicated, to say the least.
Yeah,
That, and
okay.
like
How about
certain
if I
people
just
have to
do
be a
the-
farmer, certain people have to be a conservation officer. It's like, how many farmers do you know that wanna serve on a board?
I don't know, I don't even know if I'm. Okay, so I'll do that.
That's more homework, right? Let's
Okay, thank you.
Motion adjourned.
What?
Motion adjourned.
So moved. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Andre.
Yeah, everyone be safe. Have a good weekend.
The library was over, I don't find any points.